Well, we're looking at Romans 5 to 8 because Paul is dealing here with Adam's sin and death, and he's dealing with Christ's righteousness and life, just as he does in 1 Corinthians chapter 15. And we're focusing in on the motif that sin was the sting of death. Now, let me reiterate that little axiom one more time. You're going to hear it a lot. If you deal with sin, you've dealt with death. That's just all there is to it. Sin brings death. What does forgiveness bring? Life. All right. Now, I want you to notice here, this is so absolutely critical. Remember that Paul says in verse 14, death reigned from Adam to Moses. Now, first of all, that tells us the law of Moses was not the law of Adam. And it was not the law from Adam to Moses. Isn't that pretty clear? Okay? So, while the law of Moses did not exist from Adam to Moses, nonetheless, sin and death reigned from Adam to Moses. There's some mistaken views out there that says there's no such thing as sin without the law of Moses. That is patently not true in Paul's theology when he says sin and death reigned from Adam to Moses. If sin and death did not exist without the law of Moses, then Paul was absurdly wrong to state that sin and death reigned from Adam to Moses. Okay, then what role did the law of Moses play? Well, you just got to understand that Paul says, moreover law, now the definite article is not there. All right? It is not the law entered, but that's the subject. That's the context. Because after all, sin and death reigned from Adam to Moses. So now, talking about Moses and law, he says, law entered that the offense might abound. And that means that death might abound. Let me ask you a question. I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh here. But to me, this is so simple. Did mankind need the law of Moses to know how severe the problem of biological death is? Hello? Hello? The law of Moses did not have to enter to make man know that he was going to die biologically, right? I mean, after all, every human being who had ever lived until from Adam to Moses, yeah, I know about Enoch. But every human being that had lived from Adam to Moses, guess what? They died. They died biologically. So are we supposed to believe that Paul's saying, well, you know, the law of Moses entered in order for people to know that they're going to die biologically? No. Makes no sense whatsoever. Law, specifically the law of Moses, entered to magnify the problem of sin and the sin that passed upon men when they sinned. Romans 5:12. As in Adam all men, wherefore as by one man sin entered the world, and death through sin, therefore death passed on all men, because all men sin. Let me reiterate this simple yet profound point. Law of Moses did not enter to make man know that they were going to die biologically. The law of Moses entered to magnify, to exacerbate, to compound, to do as Paul would say in Romans chapter 7, to reveal the exceedingly sinfulness of sin and the death that would result through that sin. So let's not be dissuaded And let's not be persuaded by those who try to tell us there was really no sin and no death from Adam to Moses. Clearly it did. But the issue is not biological death. The issue is the death that was magnified, compounded, exacerbated by entrance of the law of Moses. Not created, magnified. We'll see you on the flip side.